Welcome to the Word of Mouth Podcast, a series of honest, inspiring conversations with creatives from all walks of life, some in our industry, others far outside it. What connects them all? Passion, persistence, and the courage to keep creating. So listen in and get inspired. Look up our guest, and if you find yourself nodding along, feeling seen, or more hopeful, hit subscribe. Join our journey, and let's keep this conversation going. Let's keep spreading these stories the way they were meant to be shared, by word of mouth. Welcome back to another episode of the Word of Mouth Podcast presented by Johnny Davis Digital Solutions. We are sitting down with Shann Ferreira today. Shann is an inspiration. I am really excited for this conversation in general. Shann was my professor when I was in school for graphic design and advertising. She inspired me in every class I had her in. I kept in touch with her when I graduated, and now years later, it is amazing to be a colleague of yours and to work in the same field because you continue to inspire me. Conversations you and I have completely away from our professional environment, I keep on returning to this idea of what creativity is, like what that means and how it evolves, how it changes, through our life. I've said many times on this podcast, but one of the quotes I always kind of keep in my hip pocket is, you do not set out with your style in mind. It's a rear view look where you see what your style became, by the time you get, to a certain point in your career, maybe at the end of your career. So if you could take a minute, I'd like you to introduce yourself to our audience and tell us sort of where the creativity began with you. You've got an amazing resume behind you, and I would love to hear a little bit about that.
So I've always been a creative. I think I started painting when I was 8, so I just always loved art. I started exhibiting at 11. So I just always knew I wanted to be an artist. It kind of shifted in high school to design. I went to a summer program at North Carolina School of the Arts. So I'd always thought I was going to be a fine artist. I wanted to live in New York and exhibit live in a loft. I can remember when I was a teenager. And at North Carolina School of the Arts, the summer program, I had a design class, and it was life-changing. Like, I definitely knew I wanted to shift that way. So I still loved art. I still wanted to do art. I didn't know if that's what I wanted my career to be. So I don't know if I exactly knew what graphic design was, but I knew I liked the design aspect of it more. But I've probably been a painter longer than anything. And then graphic design and painting has just gone with me since that age.
So what direction did you take? So you were out of school and you were shifting from fine art, but you were still doing that as a hobby. Like you've never put down the brush, so to speak.
I have had my moments, but for the most part, I always come back to painting. I've tried different mediums, and I do the whole ADHD thing with the dopamine of the new mediums and all that. But painting has always been, I always go back to painting, whether it's airbrushing or with a brush or whatever. That has definitely been my fascination forever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of dedication. And it seems like with your schedule as busy as it is, you're the owner and the principal designer in Shandyland. And I do want to talk more about what Shandyland is, because that is like a Lisa Frank utopia of just expression. But you're also an educator and you're a painter. You take commercial commissions. So with wearing all those hats, how do they balance each other? Do they inspire? Can one influence the other?
Yes. I don't think one can survive without the other, I've learned. So I've been teaching at Guilford Tech for like 24 years. And I realized when I teach more design classes, I started doing more fine art outside of work to balance. And I'm one of the teachers that does the fine art, teaches like illustration, analog, and then also computers. So I was always kind of one of those teachers that kind of did both. And most have a preference between the fine arts and the computer. And I realized, like, when I was teaching more design in class, I'd do more fine art outside of class. Or if I was teaching more like analog drawing and stuff in class, I needed more design jobs and doing logo design and branding outside. So I realized I kind of needed both to be whole. I didn't ever feel complete without one or the other. And it kind of took me a while to realize that. But they both inspire me, and I get bored if I just have one or the other.
That makes sense. I see in my job when we're in the middle of production, I only want to like pitch or propose or write a storyboard, something completely non-production related. And then this very second I sat down to like the drawing desk, I think I can't wait to turn the cameras on this project. Like, and also I want to be done with the storyboard. Like I'm too detailed when it comes to them. And I think that was probably influenced by you.
I'm sure.
I mean,
Definitely. It
absolutely.
was all me.
So now so the evolution with you've got your fine arts and you have your the digital arts. And then at some point, and I remember when I was in your classes, I think you were just picking up the body painting as sort of an evolution. I think at that point you were doing a lot of experimental work with glass and alcohol.
Alcohol inks, yes, absolutely.
And I think that was sort of transitioning into the black lights in the same medium. And then that seemed like that was a natural evolution to body painting. But tell us about that journey.
So I love new mediums. Like I said, ADHD, dopamine. I took like an alcohol ink class at APHIS several years ago, and I got totally obsessed with that for a while. And I was face painting in the summer. It was like, my side business because I quit teaching in the summer. So it was just kind of a side business. It was fun. I didn't overthink it. It was just a little extra money. So I did the alcohol inks in those both overlapped. And during COVID, I had already started body painting some, but it wasn't extreme. Like one of my friends from GTCC, when I went to school there, was on a show called Skin Wars. Her name's Shandyland Creative.
I'm familiar with that show, yeah.
And so she was on that show, and we went to college together, and we kind of got reacquainted through APHIS. And the American Body Paint Championship was in Greensboro because the World Body Paint Champions live in Reidsville.
That's the thing.
At that time. And so they were hosting the nationals. So she needed an assistant for one of her painters named Rachel from Skin Wars. So she was a blacklight painter. So when I started assisting, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like she goes, yes, you do. I've seen you paint. You got this. I'll give you a few tips and you're good. So I was in, as soon as I saw the shift from regular paint to blacklight paint, I was like, oh, and so that began my journey. So that began my fascination with blacklight paint. I still did the alcohol inks, and I did this daily inspiration. I'd paint every day for 20 minutes. I was getting healing and stuff. So they kind of just merged. They were separate, but they were both going on in my life. I started doing this 20 minutes a day. Instead of complaining about things, I put it into my art. I put it on paper. And I was like, even if it's ugly, it's 20 minutes of something for me. And that began getting me to this different place. I was much happier, much healthier, and emotionally and mentally. And so it didn't matter the medium. It was 20 minutes for me. And then I'd mail these little, I called them artifacts through COVID, but they began with me just experimenting. I asked people on Facebook because a lot of my friends are gig workers and they were all out of work. Everybody was going through it at the beginning of COVID. So I posted on Facebook. I said, if anybody wants a little piece of art in the mail, like just shoot me your name and
Artifacts.
DM me your mailing address and I'll mail you something. And that was fun. I think I ended up doing about 100. But I'd find a quote for whatever that person, if I knew them or knew of them.
That's amazing.
I found a quote and I wrote on the back. I was inspired and each one was totally unique. I spent 20 minutes on it, mailed them in bright colored envelopes, and it just became my purpose during COVID. For me, it was actually my survival mode.
It was therapeutic. You were
Absolutely.
finding catharsis by creating something and like kind of, inspiring quotes, like you're putting quotes up that are meaningful to them, but they're also meaningful to you for that piece of art. Like that's the title of that work.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
And it really touched the people, like, because some of them I hadn't seen since middle school, elementary school. Some people, it was how I remembered them, and it made their day. And it was such a wonderful thing for me. I had just had a major surgery right before COVID, and it almost died. So I was in a weird place, but very trying to figure out the next steps of my life. Like it made me very intuitive and weird. I just felt totally out of sorts before COVID. Like it was about a month before COVID happened when I had this happen.
That entirely makes sense.
Definitely was healing.
Yep.
And just a wonderful focus during that time when I wasn't mentally ideal.
So that leads so organically into the next point I was going to ask, and I like to ask every creative. That process is very unique for that. Like that was a need-based process. Mm-hmm. Talk to us about your creative process in general. I know you do a lot of events with the body painting and with Shandyland Creative. Does the event inspire the process, the creative approach, or do you always take the same creative approach and then let the environment shape your direction?
It depends on the if a company hires me, I love turning my graphic design skills with my branding and my airbrush tattooing all together to make it an experience, because I don't know, I'm very big on experience and not things. I've lived my life like that for a while. Like with my kids, I take them on trips. I don't buy them things. So because that's what you remember. You don't want to carry junk around when they hand out merch.
I
That's not my
agree.
jam. But if I paint you and everybody's like, oh my God, that's amazing, you are never going to forget that. And I make you feel beautiful. And that, the energy of it inspires me. So it's all about that energy exchange. And when you paint people's bodies, whether it's just an arm or their face, but they're like, oh my gosh. And I'm an intuitive painter, so I don't like have a menu when I paint. I say, if you would like to just tell me 3 words about you, you can. If not, I'll just read your energy and paint. And so they're all unique. They're all different. And it's a lot of abstract. I use a lot of optical illusions, things like that. But sometimes I just know, and I can't explain it. It's just it's just my thing, and I don't question it. I just go.
Was it a weird transition? This is just, curiosity. Was it a weird transition going from canvas and paper to human bodies? Like, was there a period of like, I'm going to have to touch them pretty intimately to, put this artwork on them? Was there an adjustment there, or was it just seeing it like a doctor does?
I think I've always thought bodies are beautiful, so I never was really uptight about that. It definitely, the energy exchange, not so much about the bodies. Like some people's energy is not ideal. So I automatically know I don't want to paint them. Like I can't.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've had that experience. So I don't like when I was doing competitions and stuff, I didn't want to paint a stranger because I don't want to paint you for 8 hours if I don't like you. And it sounds bad, but it just repels me. And it was ever since my surgery, like I'm just really energetically inspired. So, or
That is
I want to get
awesome.
away. And it's weird and I can't put it in words. That's when it changed.
I like how authentic that is, though. I mean, that is, I think that is very honest, like very genuine. I like that. So with Shandyland, you are building experiences, like that's what you're doing, with that company, and everything is very immersive within that. So can you talk to us a little bit about, sort of what you're putting into it, but then what experience you're hoping that people walk away from that with?
I do 2 separate things. So when I'm live painting and I'm doing intuitive paintings at events, music events and things like that, it's a whole different thing from when I do almost my illustration on a body. So I started doing that, and I'd paint the DJ portraits and use it as like social media, and it'd be like an illustration on a body of the DJ in the upcoming show. So that really inspired me because it was like my graphic design skills and I just started doing it just to paint, just for me. So they say like, when you find your niche, like it's your passion project. So I
Absolutely.
wasn't doing it for money. And then I started painting my best friend, who's a flow artist, and she does like hoops and spins fire and stuff. So I started paying her at live events, honestly, because I was poor and I wanted to go to the show for free. So that happened after COVID. And so that's really when it started taking off. And then people were like, are you painting people? And I was like, oh, like I honestly had never even thought about it. I just painted her. She flowed and we got to hang out and listen to music and dance. So it was fun. And it was really cool.
Very organic. Yeah.
And then I started painting the crowd, and business quadrupled. And I was like, oh, okay. So it just organically happened into this really cool, weird niche thing that it's worth being tired over.
So how long does that take? Are we talking this is per person?
So I do, like when I'm live painting, they're quick. It's like, so torsos, arms, sometimes it's just their face. So it's like 10 to 20 minutes. Sometimes it's 5 minutes.
Okay.
Like it's quicker, intuitive layering. I do a lot of airbrush because I started airbrushing during that time because it's water resistant. So festivals, raves, they're hot and sweaty, they're dancing. So the other stuff would just melt off. So I got into airbrushing, which was very challenging, troubleshooting. But I had to learn that that's water resistant, and where I'm so much stronger with a brush to challenge myself to this new thing, which I'm still working on that skill set.
Really?
Yeah. And it's just I'm learning more all the time and still go to conferences to learn new face paint techniques, new body paint techniques, new airbrush. So it's definitely like always learning. And I always want to go back because I taught myself. So I didn't learn like fine art class, like here's the shadow. Like I was just trying to make it work. And I know that some of my lines aren't messy. But during that time, as I was learning it, there are competition painters that spend 8 hours and it's meticulous.
That's what I was wondering.
I'm not that person.
Okay.
I don't care. I want it to look cool. I want you to feel like it's all for you and it make you thrive and just feel like it's the best thing that you've ever had. And I do that. And I don't know why or how, but I don't care about if I overspray, because that's just part of, I always say, if a stencil isn't there that I think I want, the universe says, nope, that's not for you. And it sounds so silly, but it always works out.
I think that's incredible. So there's a little bit of a spiritual component to every one of these pieces. Are there some that you feel drawn to, or can you tell us about an example of one where you thought as you started, this is going to be an experience?
I think sometimes I have no plan, and that's my plan. Sometimes when I'm not feeling as inspired, I tell Saber, who's my bestie that I paint all the time, I say, give me a word of the day. That's what we go from.
That's it. Yeah. You start from a word.
Yeah, that's the most exciting. Like, I love when she has a word or a song or whatever.
That is amazing.
So the music I definitely need to function in all aspects of life, and it has definitely been more prominent the last few years. And I have music for everything. I clean with music. I grade with music. I do everything with music. So that I need music to create.
Talk to us a little bit about how the music and what you're surrounded with, your environment, is influencing these things. Like, if you're going into a certain event, do you create a playlist and say, I need music that's going to match this event?
Actually, some events I don't love the music. Most of the time I know, but there's certain types of music I don't like, so I bring headphones. So I can be in my own world, because noise canceling headphones are life. I recommend them for everyone because you can, even if you put them in and aren't listening to anything, you can block out all the annoying things that drive you crazy, especially with ADHD.
I think that's what Daniel and Logan do. I think that's what they do.
Yeah, I don't even have them on. I learned that skill during COVID because everyone was home and I have kids and they would bother me. But if I had my headphones on, they knew I was working, so they left me alone. So I realized sometimes it'd be hours and I'd never turned on music. It was just blocking everyone out. But yeah, music. I try not to do events that I don't like the music, but it has happened. So I do always bring headphones because in case I need a different vibe, like sometimes it's not matching up. And so I do that, but it's funny.
So talk to us a little bit in detail about body painting project that you took on that really stands out in your mind, or something that you really promoted, or you felt promoted, not just the way you paint, but the way you build your business.
So I feel like there was a community here that we're just not as active, and we'd always have paint jams like quarterly. So a lot of body painters get together, and there's a surprisingly lot of us. And we would have like themed events like 3 times a year, like a Christmas one. We'd always have a Christmas and they'd bring Santa. Like, it was super fun. But one time we did a boudoir shoot. So I love hyper-realism, surprisingly, because that isn't what I'm known for. But I love painting on clothes and making them look realistic, like lingerie or whatever. So those are absolutely my favorite. And probably my favorite paint I ever did was I painted Sabra in January, right before I had emergency surgery. Go figure, it was my last paint that week. And I painted her in this amazing lingerie, and it was just such an amazing shoot. I know I'm saying amazing too much, but I can't think of other words.
I mean,
it was
sounds
just
amazing.
Like, so proud. And those pictures are still my favorite. And it was just one of those that it connected with me. It was I love ultra feminine stuff. I love making women feel beautiful. So those two things are always my favorite. So I think that part, anytime I can do that, it inspires me probably more than anything. The black light inspires me just because I love playing with the color shift, and I learned about chroma depth, which it's almost like the 3D glasses, but it's chroma depth glasses. So when I learned to do that, I always kind of tie that into even if I don't have the glasses, you can always look at my paints with chroma depth glasses on the camera, and you can see that
is cool.
I love that depth, and it looks like it's coming off the body. It's just such a cool effect to me.
Wow.
That the lighting excites me with the black light.
So it's interesting that in what we do in photography and video, most of the mastery is with light, and how light plays across shadows, creates depths, creates dimensions, and even a 2D image. So it's really fascinating to me that you hear oil painters, or you think of 2D artists, and you think, well, yeah, we're painting in depth. That's what we're doing. We're creating the illusion of depth. You're doing it also on human skin with its own contours, with its own natural highlights. Are you muting those or pulling out false shadows?
I do because it's hard to capture black light on camera, and there are photographers that love it, and they're my favorite. There are ones that are amazing photographers, and they hate it, so they don't mess. I know how to push and pull the warms and cools and make it look like it looks like in real life.
That's amazing. That'd
And
be
that's
very
all.
important.
And I'm not saying I am not a photographer. I do not love photography, but I've had to I've had to learn a lot but to get what I want for social media and for content. So I had to kind of figure that out. And I can show. I hate when people repost like, "Oh, she painted me," and they're posting these awful. That is not what it looked like. So I'm like, "Here, let me color correct. I'll send you the image." So just give me a second and I'll send it. So I send them images as well. So because they're like, "Oh, I wish you could have seen it. It looked better than this."
It looks better in person,
Right.
Yeah. So to
And
be able to pull that out, yeah.
Yeah, so that part I always kind of say, hey, if you message me, I'll send you the good version that it really looked like, because I know how to create that and it's very easy. So I think that part also helps, because I hate when they post it, it's like muted. I'm like, no, it looked better than that.
It's hurting your business.
Yeah, don't tag me.
So a moment ago, you had mentioned that when you body paint, women, you can kind of empower them, and I was wondering, do you see more female subjects in body painting than males?
Absolutely.
Is it more of a feminine art form?
I don't know if it's more feminine. I just paint more females. Absolutely. I do an event. I've done some events. One of them is Fantasy Fest in Key West. It's kind of like the Mardi Gras in Key West.
Okay.
Body paint is heavy. It's kind of I used to think, oh, I wish I could body paint there one day. No, I can body. I was able to get a spot. I made good money. It was amazing. And they have theme days. I would say there's lots of lifestyle people there, but
Okay.
There's parades, but they have 2 themes a day, big party themes. So people get body painted nonstop. And it is so fun. And then you learn how fast you can go, and it's definitely a moneymaker. But that's when I was like, I made it.
So being a dad with an ever-present bottle of hand soap and magic erasers, around the house, how permanent?
Never put magic erasers on a body. I've made the mistake before.
I'm just wondering, how permanent is body painting?
No, so it's water resistant. It'll stay on. It's sweat resistant. It's great. Friction takes it off. Certain body chemistry.
Okay.
Certain people can sweat it off, others don't. But you just lather with liquid soap, no water, and you break up the pigment a few minutes. It just takes a little work, or any oil or alcohol to take it off.
So people are coming back into work on Monday with no blue tinted.
Yeah, no,
skin.
it's definitely easy, and I tell them how to take it off, and I have takeoff directions. But actually, one of my friends that's local invented body color cosmetics, and it's fully waterproof. She does mermaid stuff, and cosplay people use it. It's amazing.
Is the triad known for body painters or the subculture?
No, I mean, well, there is so the Scott Frey and Madeline Greco. They're the ones from Regional. They were the 5-time world body paint champions. So then they paint models locally. Then those models will learn to paint. So it kind of just expanded. They taught a lot of people.
I see.
And
that
so
makes sense.
Tiffany, who started Body Color Cosmetics. She was on Skin Wars as well. I think it was a different season. But she's from North Carolina. I don't think she's from Greensboro, if I'm not mistaken. But when she came up with this silicone-based body paint, it's wild. That stuff will stay on so amazing. And you can go swimming in it. And it's the only one that I know of that's fully waterproof.
I guess to try to sort of tie back into the purpose of our podcast is, this is all inspiring. This is, and I'm hoping that the people that are listening research body painting more, and if to inspire those though, the people that are trying to turn a hobby into something more, trying to turn what they do, into their dream. How does the magic? Because listening to you talk about painting in general and body painting and art in general, you are very inspired by this pathway that you're on. Mm-hmm. How do you use that in or out of the classroom to inspire others?
Okay, so I do use a lot. I teach illustration. So when I paint the DJs on the bodies and I do layouts. So like it's actually using my illustration. It doesn't matter the medium. The medium changes. If it's a canvas, it's still an illustration. So I lay it out the same way I teach them the fundamentals of design. I'm creating content that they're going to have to learn how to do. I just happen to be doing it for my own business. It's a way to stay relevant. I have a motion graphics concentration from Pratt from grad school. I haven't taught video editing in forever, but now I'm using it because I'm making content for social media. So it all overlays, even people that use Canva and Adobe Express, like
Right.
it's all, everybody needs those foundations of design. If you're doing socials, like you have to know what's the kick? Why are they going to stay on yours? So it's just it's all design, but I'm making content happen. My subject happens to be body painting or events, which I've learned the experience of events is what I love. I love music festivals and I love shows and I love dancing and energy. So it's just, I'm promoting those through design so I can get all the way on to body paint. But I don't want to be a competition body painter. Like I love doing expos. I used to host expos before COVID. And so we'd all get together. People would come out. I'd hire DJs. People would come paint. People would come buy tickets. They would get painted. Like then they'd pick someone would get a trophy, whoever got the Audience Choice Award. So it was just bringing community together. I'd hosted at like Artist Block or Chemistry, like local little spots that are locally owned by other artists. So I'd be bringing business to them too, which I love doing. I love helping small business. I love designing for small business. So it might not seem like it overlaps, but it really does. I like my favorite, if I was just a graphic designer, my favorite would be to brand for small business and empower them to learn how to use Canva or Express for themselves.
Yes.
Like, so that part,
constant promotion. Yes.
Yeah. Like, and I love empowering people to be able to do it themselves. So they could hire me, but they could pay me a little extra for me to teach them how to do it themselves. So then if they needed me, I'm here, but then they'd feel empowered if they can't afford it.
Do you take that same approach in the classroom when you're teaching?
Oh, yeah. I definitely
you are
do.
creating small businesses, like that's kind of, you're setting your students up to create their own business, their own brand.
Yeah. Or they can design, they can be entrepreneurs, absolutely, but work with small business. Think of how many small business. I started like doing vending at those little craft fairs and little food truck rodeos. Like, so that wasn't that long ago. I was just face painting. I was just trying to make ends meet because I was a single mom. So it's funny how it's happened, how it's evolved, and I don't think you could have planned for it, but I love that it evolved the way it did.
So what trends do you like to see right now when it comes to design? Like where do you like where design's going, and where are you hoping that we kind of start steering away from design? Like I'm talking graphic design when I'm saying design.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I love trends. I just want to know what they are so I can run with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to make game changers, like, cause my base will always be the foundations in classic design. Like I love trends to play off that. And I love the resurgence of the 80s because I'm older, and it's fun to just see those older trends come back and everybody act like it's such a big deal. Same with music. So I love that there are trends. I love that they're drastic. I love that this season might be one thing and next year it's going to be totally different. I like it way more. So I think that's inspiring because it's new and I get bored.
Do you find yourself ever going back to the fundamentals, like classic foundational design, ideals?
Absolutely. Probably 90% of the time. But then I love those little projects where you can be like, oh, this is a monthly thing. Yeah. I can do. So content does that. So content is ever flowing. You're not making traditional design that's going to last forever.
Right.
Content. You're like, oh, here. Friday is an event. Let's go. Oh, we're using 80 patterns this week. Next week, it's going to be flowers,
Yes.
So I think that's why socials don't scare me. Like, a lot of people don't like social media. Like a lot of designers don't. They don't want to do it. But now everybody's hiring for designer and they want you to know social media.
Absolutely.
So that part excites me because it's gone next day off of story. Like I like planning for the month, and I like next month it's going to be something different. But then the logo design is classic and it's hardcore and it's fundamental. And the brand, I love logos and brands. So that has to be relevant.
Right.
But then this little thing over here, that social media can change all the time. So I don't get bored with it.
I like that.
So I think it fuels my foundation and my need for new.
To the person that's kind of, trying to test a toe in the water, what advice do you have? Like, they think they're creative, but maybe they have got imposter syndrome. They're not sure if this is for them or if they should keep working their 9 to 5.
I tell them whatever your passion is, go with it, because it's a hard life. And if you don't love what you do, it's going to be long and miserable. And so if you love design, do design. Don't overthink it. But be open to new knowledge and don't think you know everything. Like, be open to new, because I think there's nothing worse. Let me rephrase. There's nothing worse than when you wake up and you don't have any ideas. And it happens to everyone, and it's the worst feeling in the world, and it's scary, especially when you're creative.
I co-sign that 100%.
Right.
That
so you have to work on it all the time.
It is constantly. It is one of the hardest things about being a creative professional is maintaining a 100-foot view and a 10,000-foot view, and looking behind you, down, and forward all at the exact same time. There are people that are better at that, and there are people that I naturally struggle with that, because I like to hone in on a story, a detail, and everything else becomes white noise. You know, and it's all going on. You know, I use an analogy in the studio quite a bit that it's multiple spinning plates, and when you focus too hard on one plate, it's terrifying to actually have that moment of realization sitting at your desk and be like, oh my God, where's this other project right now? And you realize that you weren't looking at that project at all. You know, so I like that. I think that if someone has the passion, if they have the drive, they find a way to do it.
Be a lifelong learner. Like, don't think you know everything. Like, I haven't had a Photoshop class since 2001. So how do you think I keep up to date to teach it in Illustrator? So I use LinkedIn Learning. I use YouTube videos. I ask questions. You can't think you're above it, because it changes so fast.
It does.
And it ebbs and flows too. Like, if I'm teaching Illustrator, I'm really good at Illustrator. Illustrator's my go-to, so I can't say that. But like, if I'm teaching it, I'm really good at it. But then if I don't teach Photoshop for a year, I gotta get back in I know the basics. I know how to get through it. It's fine. But teaching all the new stuff, all the bells and whistles, is exhausting.
Especially the way they're doing it now, where I mean, every update is changing and moving things.
Right.
And with AI implementation, which I guess is actually the next perfect point. Not just as an artist and you know, not just as an educator, and not just as a creative, where do you see AI benefiting, or do you see a benefit, or is it scary robots taking over the world?
I think all of those things.
Yeah.
I try to empower students with it so they know how to use it ethically, whether they like it or not. I use it. It's pointless to be afraid of it, because you're either going to embrace it and use it, or
grow or die. Yeah,
exactly. Or you're not going to be doing this anymore. So I want to, and so many people are scared of it that I like knowing enough about it to use it effectively. I'm definitely not an expert, but I want to use it. I take classes in it. I want to understand it. I want to make it my tool, so I sound like I know what I'm talking about more than because you're always going to have to change.
It has a place, and I don't think it'll ever replace the human creative mind. But I think that if we utilize it as a positive resource, it will help challenge us, or, allow us to think about something a little bit different. Like a vague idea, it can help kind of steer you in a direction or away from a direction.
Right. And it, like, idea generation, like, I make my students use it so they understand how to use it. Idea generation is quick for sketches. Like, if you can come up with something, like, you don't have to set up a whole photo shoot. Just get that, sketch it down so you can move forward. If they like it, then you go back and refine and make it your own, because you can't copyright it. But it does save time, and time is money. And I always say that. Don't work smarter, not harder.
Absolutely.
It's the same.
If you're debating, 4 different or 6 different taglines, it's very helpful to kind of be able to put in the right information and then key out 5 different taglines. 2 of them are going to be crap. One of them might have something that inspires you to say, okay, now I know kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah.
And a really funny side story. So I am very new at AI, and I'm only just now trying to streamline things. I was up very, very, very late last night into this morning, and the episode we did previously with Logan, I needed to just generate like a brief description of the episode, and I was brain dead. I couldn't even think about trying to figure out words. I said, you know what? I'm going to let AI do it. And I loaded the audio transcript of Logan's episode into AI, and it read through it, and it generated an episode description. And it said, from a childhood actor starring in what was it, Jesus Christ Superstar, to being an actor and a singer at Logan. I was like, okay, I like, now I don't trust you again. Like now it's
But that's
the
a
Roombas
reality
taking
check.
over
You
the
need
world.
that. You need that to be reassured. No, I totally get it. But I will say I use it for slogans and things, for stickers, for merch, for my business,
Absolutely.
and for, man, I'm tired. Like I'm aging up. Like I need it for slogans for social media, just so I can bang them out, start laying it out, and then the post. Man,
It's
it's
one less thing
wonderful.
to think about.
And it's wonderful, and they're way clever. They're way better. I'm not a good writer. I know that. I'm witty, but I was like, oh, that's funny. Like, and I'm
The
snarky, and it
robots.
now knows my snark.
See,
Like,
that's
I
fun.
love
If it can learn your
It
personality.
learns my snark, and I am such a
That is
edgy, like more
very
edgy,
funny.
no more funny, more bubbly. Like, I love it. It's so funny, and it does good for that stuff, and that I like it for that.
As you have evolved from where you started to where you are now, when did you realize, or when did you make sort of the aha moment that you weren't just designing art, you were shaping lives, the lives around you, or the lives of students, or the lives of the people that you've painted? Did you have that moment of, this is more important than just a medium and a brush?
No, no. There's been moments
Okay.
that make me realize what my purpose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that COVID was a reality check. Like, I've had students tell me I saved them from suicide and stuff like that, because I would call everybody if I didn't hear from them. I was on a mission that was such a challenge, because I hate Zoom calls more than anything on earth, and meetings. So that's what I was doing now. And I am an energy, I am bubbly, I'm gregarious. Like, and if I can't be in a classroom and feed off that energy,
Right.
how do I teach? Because
Behind the
that's
glass,
really,
yeah.
So what I started doing during COVID, I made everybody call in. We were doing like synchronous calls for class, and I started taking them on field trips where I was going on a field trip and they were watching. And I went and did all these things because they were all stuck in their house. And I was like, okay, how do we stay creative? Do a staycation, like research this place, pretend that you're doing this, turn on the music, make a recipe. Like, I was like, we have to survive. Like, this is our worst nightmare. If you get trapped in your head, creatives are weird anyway. And I would take them to like the mural park, and I'd be out there by myself, but they were like, it was so awesome. Like, and
That's
that was our
amazing.
weekly field trip. It was part because I don't want to sit there and bore you to death. Like, I don't want to sit there and critique all day. I want us to do fun stuff, because creatives do fun stuff to stay creative.
Absolutely.
And I took them to like the Greensboro Science Center, to the carousel. And we were looking at all the carved like horses
When
of
you're
like all the
saying
different artists.
You took them these
Like,
places.
they were on my phone with me.
On your
We
phone.
Were, yeah, absolutely.
That is hilarious.
It was how I got through it, because I was like, everybody was going through it, obviously, and nobody knew what to do. So I was like, my goal is to make y'all show up and it inspire you in some way.
Inspire
and I don't
the
care if it's
creativity.
30 minutes or an hour a week that you're not about to lose your mind. That's how I'm going to get through to these people. And they would do their work, and they would look forward to our little field trips. Was it perfect? No. But it wasn't sitting there listening to lectures. Yeah, we did design, but part of design is staying inspired. And so I was pushing it.
That is amazing.
And I
So-
needed it just as much as they did.
How do you work as an inspiration and like a source of like creative motivation for so many people, in the design community, and your students, former students, that still keep in touch with you, and you're still, feeding them. What happens when your cup drains? Like, what do you do? How do you get past those, or how do you identify it?
It's
Is it easy?
I'm in denial for a minute,
Yeah.
but I always know. And I'm actually going through it a little bit right now. Not horrible. My worst one, I can remember how I got out of it. It was so funny. I didn't want to make anything. It was before COVID. It was like, I don't know, probably about 8 years ago. And I was just going through it. I was tired. I was stressed. I was I didn't want to do anything. And I talked to one of my friends about it, who was an artist, and he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, eating a brownie. And he was like, paint it. And I was like, why would I paint my brownie? He goes, just do it. And he said, I'm going to call you tomorrow, and I'm going to make you show it to me. So make sure you do it. And I was like, shut up. And he was like, I'm serious. So I did it. And I still have that brownie painting. And it was ugly and stupid, but it made me start doing it and not overthinking it. Because creatives will block, and we won't do the stuff we don't want to do. So that was like part of that 20-minute. It was like the resurgence of the 20-minute a day thing. So I started going through lists, creative lists. What is the subject? I'm just going to paint something. I don't care if it's good or bad. You just have to get it out. And that's when it starts flowing again, because
That's amazing.
I feel like an energy flow, you get blocks, like almost like chakras. Like I feel
Yeah.
like if you're blocked, if you're not good mentally, it's really hard to be whole. If you're really blocked emotionally, if you're blocked with finances, like it all has to be flowing. And if you're lacking in one or the other, I feel like it's very hard to be creative.
So the first step is to
just do it.
just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it and see what happens.
And I'm my most creative with limitations. So I challenge myself with a new medium, like the whole alcohol inks, or I give you a word and you have to go with that. You only, like sometimes in illustration, I would be like, you have to create an portrait, but you can't use any traditional drawing materials. So they ended up push pointing like holes through the paper, stippling and making holes through the paper. So it was like with nothingness. And like I challenge myself all the time. One time I did a poster for the indie market, and it was a fall market, and I was trying to think, oh, fall, I can do leaves. Da, da, da. So I cut the letters out of the leaves, and when I laid them down, I actually messaged on Facebook and I was like, does anybody have big leaves in their yard? Like, and it was one of my friends from elementary school, and I went and raped her yard of leaves, and I cut them out, and they all, like when I laid them down by accident, they all fit together like a puzzle, and I cut the letter forms out of it, and it was just like, oh, like, so then that indie market poster that I used to design for one of my friends, everyone was just like, let me try a new trick that I learned in Illustrator and do it. So that was my challenge. I learned something new in Illustrator, and I made it go because I wasn't getting paid for it. So if you're not making much money, you better be as creative as you possibly can be, because that's when you get to. When you have all these limitations and, budget and you're getting paid, you have to follow all the rules, and that's no fun.
That is
but your bills are paid.
A good perspective. That really is a good perspective. If you're taking work in general, pro bono or to help a friend out, make it count. Build
absolutely.
something with it.
Learn a skill.
It might be more profitable that way than if you charge them in the first place.
Right, kind of like when you start painting people for fun and then your business quadruples.
That's a very organic. You're doing it for fun. You're doing it because you love it. Yeah. Is that why you said that you would never do competitive body painting, because it takes the joy out of it?
I'm not competitive. I realize this. I love expo painting. I love the energy of just going have fun and seeing it and being inspired by it. I don't care if this line is straight. Like I learned that I loved doing competitions because it was fun, but everybody was all stressed out and all serious, and that's not me. I want to make it pretty. I want to work on the layout, and I did one a few years ago that was really fun. They had an online competition for the World Body Paint Champion, and I was going to go that year, and it was in Austria. COVID happened. So they did an online version, so you have to like timestamp and have photos and everything. And I think it was Psychedelic Circus, which, what? So I got to use all these fun optical illusions like Dolly, like there were on the back, it looked like a face, but it was really an acrobat contortionist with the eyes. And so I got to play around with all my fun.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to send you a picture. But it was just like, did it win? No, but I loved it, and I had so much fun making it, and Sabra had fun being my canvas. So it was just like I was playing with my friend, and we were painting, and it was amazing and made me feel wonderful. That
is cool. I like that. So I guess as we close out, is there any? Well, for one, let our listeners know where they can find your work if they want to book you, if they want to learn more about body painting and how that works, and if they want to be a canvas.
Absolutely. So
as they pass the vibe check.
What'd you say? Sorry.
As long as they pass the vibe check.
Yeah, absolutely. Depends on how much. No, I do always need promo models, but anyway, my website is shandylandcreative.com. I'm going through like a rebrand. So I realized I was so heavy in the body painting that I really do face painting and events like that too. So I had to kind of like separate the two. So shandylandcreative.com, my LLC is everything, brand activations or whatever. But then my Instagram for my body paintings is Shandy_land. So it's pretty easy to find me. I have both links on everything, and you can get to me both ways. But because I realized I'm in the Bible Belt, and I was having a very target demographic, but I still was doing brand activations and face paint parties and stuff like that. I realized I needed to like rethink my strategy.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm working on now.
Okay. Well, I would invite anyone to, we'll put the links in the show notes, and we definitely want some B-roll on this.
I got I
'cause
can send over stuff.
this
and
should be
whatever.
amazing. Yeah, I'm very excited for this one to come out.
Yeah.
I think that people are really going to take something from this.
So I don't know if I can say this, but like
Sure.
our next big local thing with body painting is going to be in September at Winston-Salem Fashion Week.
Okay.
So there will be, it's a whole body paint showcase. Cheryl Ann, some other artists are flying in. Avi from Skimwares, Weiser from Naked Vegas. I can't remember all the other people, but it's going to be a really amazing show. We did it last year, but it expanded, and she got funding. Cheryl Ann got funding this year. So it's going to be an amazing, and it's dandyism, I think, is the theme, if I remember right. I'm sure I'll follow up, but it's so fun. It was inspired by the Met Gala, so I'm looking very forward to it, and I think it's September 13th in Winston.
Okay. We'll put a calendar up for that too.
Yeah,
that
that'll
way
be awesome.
want
So I think that'll be
tickets.
really interesting if anyone's intrigued by it. It is, I go back and forth with people. People are like, oh, that's, and then some people are like, that's fascinating. Like that. I've taken Sabra out. I did a tap takeover with Foothills a few years ago and painted at Goofy Foot before, I think it was right before COVID. And we took Sabra out with jeans painted on and everything. Nobody knew she didn't have clothes on. It was great. I mean, she had a thong and pasties, but she was covered and had a jacket. Nobody knew anything. Like
no pants.
Yep, nope. She had
no pants, no problem.
Nope, she had a thong on.
We're gonna start
But nobody
that.
knew. I even glued on business cards in her pockets.
Oh, that is amazing.
It was great.
Well, Shann, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a conversation I've been looking forward to since we started the podcast. You were one of the first guests on that list. And I knew it would be I knew it would be a fun and energetic conversation.
Interesting.
And
no one ever calls me boring, that's
you
for sure.
delivered. No, there is no such thing as boring in Shann's land.
Shandyland.
Thank you very much, Shann.
Thank you.